Hiya, welcome back to my channel. It's Wendy here from Toonpish Crafts and I hope you're doing okay. So before we get into this video, now is the time to draw the winner of the giveaway that I put up last week. So let's have a look. So this is the random comment generator. I've put in the URL for the video. I've ticked duplicate comments so that you can only enter once. I've put in the answer 5, which is the number I asked you to put in the comments. I've answered the question and it's come up with 77 comments. 77 people have a chance to win this sphere. So I'm going to click start and the winner is David Matchett. Congratulations, David. You're all the way over there in Australia, which is typical. The last one went to New Zealand. Anyway, thank you very much for joining in. Let's get back to the video. Today I'll be using Let's Resin mould casing with the Let's Resin silicone. Now I want to mould something that is absolutely huge. It's not your average type of mould that you would make, and therefore it's too big to go in the mould casing. So I've adapted it. So let's see how I got on with the mould casing and Let's Resin silicone. So this is the mould casing box. In it you get a tape of double-sided sticky tape and all the pieces that you need to make quite a few different sizes of moulds, including the bulldog clips that clip the pieces together. I am an affiliate with Let's Resin and I have a UK discount code of Wendy's 10, which is 10% discount on anything purchased from Let's Resin in the UK. I don't have one for America yet, but you never know what will happen in the future. But all the links I have will be in the description box below, and that includes anything that I use today in this video. If I've missed anything, please do let me know. My brain is a bit of a sieve sometimes. So as you can see, I'm putting the mould casing together. I want to see how large it can get. And it is actually really quite large. Very easy to put together though. Bulldog clips can't get easier than that, can you? Quite a big casing, isn't it? But the piece I want to mould isn't this big, it's tall. That's the issue I have. It's taller than the casing. So here it is. I want to mould a piece of Australian melee burr, also known as bull, and it is far too high. So I went to the garage, found an old piece of cabinet and cut it, and hopefully it's the right size for the mould. It extends it just by about 1 centimetre, which is enough hopefully, so I can pour the silicone in and cover the piece. But it's wood and it's not going to do too well. So I've decided to cover it completely in sellotape. Just went round the outside and covered the entire thing in sellotape. Now I know silicone doesn't mind sellotape and it'll give a shiny appearance, not that that matters really. But I do want this to work, so I figured this was the best way, to be honest. So now using the double-sided sticky tape, I need to stick the casing to the wood. So I'm putting the double-sided tape right the way around outside of the bottom of the casing, like you would if you were sticking it to a surface to make a mould. But the wood is going to be an extra layer. I'm not worried if the pieces of double-sided tape overlap each other. I'm sure I can sort that out when I get to the corners. I just wanted to make sure there was no gaps. Once I'm happy with the placement of the tape, then I'll take off the backing and go around and make sure every corner and every piece of this casing is covered with double-sided tape. I really don't want the leaks. I really don't. Having leaks before, no. So then I put it on top of the now stuck with sellotape piece of wood and I make sure it's completely pressed down. No leaks. I want no leaks. I think I've said that already. Now I'm going to do the same with the wood. Double-sided tape on the bottom of the wood like you would on the bottom of the casing if you were sticking it to something. And I'll have a piece of plexiglass that I've cut to size, take the backing off and have a nice clean shiny surface for the wood to sit on. shiny side down, pop it onto the double-sided tape and make sure it's completely pressed down. Now, hopefully I will have an extended mould that will work. I just want to say a quick hello and welcome to all my new subscribers. Thanks very much for joining my channel, and if you haven't subscribed already, consider doing so. It doesn't cost anything and it does help my channel out. But now I need to think about the thing I'm moulding. I've put double-sided sticky tape on the bottom of the wood, so it should stop the leaks going underneath the wood, and I'm trying to put it in the centre of the plexiglass so that it has room right the way around it for the silicone. And it looks like I have a nice clearance above the wood. I'm using the Let's Resin silicone. This is equal parts of A and B, and you stir very slowly. Now this is ×8. Obviously I didn't stir that quickly. And I'm going to put some nice cyan colour in it. This is a gorgeous colour. Just add in a little bit to give it a nice blue colour. I do like colour in everything. I don't like plain white moulds. I do like a bit of colour. Once that's all mixed in, I'm going to pour it for extreme height. Now you can't see how high I am, but I am high. I'm about 1 metre away. That is to stop or negate most of the bubbles. If there's bubbles in the silicone, you want to pour it from a height and the air escapes before it hits the surface. Now the best thing apparently is to pour on top of something and let it flow down over the sides. I didn't make enough, so I had to quickly make some more and then fill up to a good height above the item that I'm moulding. Now I did actually wait a couple of days to demold this, or to decase it. You don't need to wait that long, but I was working, so I just thought we'll let it go for a couple of days. And then it was just trying to find a chink in the armour to start the decasing, and once I found a chink, I was away. Each piece came away really easily. It was stuck with double-sided sticky tape, but yeah, once you give it a little tug, it comes off. And the best bit was, it didn't leak. Yay! Now I'll have to get it away from the plexiglass. So I'm using a sanding knife just to run around where the double-sided tape is. I don't want to break the plexiglass because I can use that again. I like reusing things. So once I've freed up the sides, it was just a case of popping it off. Once that's cleaned up, I can reuse it. Now there was some spillage underneath the wood. I'll talk about that in a moment. The wooden frame come off beautifully, and I've got my cuticle remover, and I'm just going to go around and get rid of some of the spillage that's underneath the wood. The wood did not have a completely flat bottom, which is why some of it seeped underneath. It did make the wood very sticky as well, but I can always sand that back down and reuse that wood. These little cuticle removers are great for going around the edges of moulds, and they're really quite cheap, and I bought them from Amazon, so they will be linked in my Amazon shop. Don't you just love that noise? I have to leave that in for you. One of the best bits. Now this wood didn't have any coating, it was just sprayed black, so I knew there might be a few issues with demoulding from the silicone. But it came out quite nicely. There was one piece that was left in the mould, which I took out manually, and there were a few splinters in it as well. But the splinters weren't going to be an issue because I was going to cast it, and I figured eventually they would come out in the castings, and it's no big deal because what I'm casting is meant to look like wood. So now I'm just going to give you a quick demo on how I plan to use this mould. I'm using Let's Resin colours Interference Silver, Cyan and Magenta, and I'm going to be colouring the inside of the mould. In the UK, burr wood is hard to get hold of, and it is very expensive as well. Some of the time I'd prefer to use resin, but I want it to look like burr wood. Now usually when I colour burr wood, I cover it in gilding glue, wait 45 minutes and then I can colour it. That then goes into the resin and it's used as a blank so I can turn it into something on the lathe. This mould will help me cut out a few of those steps. I can colour the mould, fill it with resin and cut it up, and that's it. It does save a lot of time, it will save a lot of money, and that's my plan for this. And I can cut it up how small I want it. So I've used the silver in the peaks. I'm now going to use the magenta, and then I'm going to wipe off quite a lot of the magenta and use the blue. By the way, don't forget to check out toonpish.com. The most important bit about toonpish.com is it has a place where all my discount codes and links are. So if you're looking for a discount code, go to toonpish.com. I don't have every company, I have a few, but it might help you save a few pennies. The last video on YouTube is always linked on the front page, and any upcoming events are also linked on the front page. So now I've moved on to the blue cyan, just to fill in the gaps that I've wiped off, which are the lower parts of the mould. Don't forget it's upside down. When I'm happy, give it a little bit of a clean up, and I fill it completely to the top using Demolding resin and Vista black pigment, which is a gorgeous silky black pigment. It's so smooth and so well put together and very solid black. And pouring quite slowly, I fill the mould to the top. And this time I actually made the perfect amount of resin. Wonders will never cease. So 24 hours later, and you can see there that the resin has slightly overheated, but this resin was not meant to pour this deep. I think it's recommended as 4 centimeters, and this is a lot deeper. So I was happy that it just did a little bit of a ripple at the top, and the item came out absolutely stunning. Those colours are gorgeous. And this is perfectly replicating the wood. So I took it to the garage and I cut it into 4, and now I have 4 pieces for some blanks, and this mould is a perfect size. How good is that? Well, the mould is absolutely huge. I mean, the size of my head, look, you can see how big it is. It's huge, but it works a treat. You saw in the video that I was able to cast some resin in there and use them for blanks. That is exactly what I wanted to use it for. I'll put up some pictures afterwards of what I've turned those blanks into, but the mould is the star. I am so happy with this. Thanks to Let's Resin for giving me the opportunity to use this. I am over the moon with how it came out. And I'm not a mould maker. I've said that so many times, but I'm really not a mould maker. So I'm happy that I've got a huge mould. Anyway, thanks very much for watching this one. I hope it's inspired you in some way. I hope it's helped you in some way. Have a great week. Happy crafting, and bye for now.